Don't listen to others' advice. Have you ever heard that? Well, today I'm going to share with you how and when you can use other people's advice to your own benefit. So, hi, this is Christi Karate with Christi's Clarity, and every Friday at 10:10, I give you some helpful hints for creating the life that you would love living, like the life of your dreams of freedom and creativity. And so, for a while here, I'm teaching out of my book, Beyond the Box, or sharing some hints out of Beyond the Box, Creative Thinking Expanded. You can always go to Creative Thinking no, you can go to beyondtheboxbook.com, or you can, yes, and you can get a copy and I will sign it if you do that. So today we're actually in chapter 8, which is perspective, actually. So my book is all based on art designs and the art principles. So the principle that I'm working with this month is perspective. Like, what is your perspective on things? And go back and listen to the last 3 weeks. I gave some really great clarity tips for you. But today I'm going to talk about how you can use other people's advice to really benefit you. Now, we're told all the time, and it's really true, that you want to see what works for you and what doesn't. And really, each one of us has the ability within us to the wisdom to create our own experience. And today I'm going to show you, though, how you can use your own wisdom and look at other people's ideas and thoughts. Now, we live in a world of status quo thinking. 90% of our own thoughts come from somewhere else that we have integrated into our own personal life. That's a big amount of other people's opinions and thoughts, right? And we want to figure out how to find out which ones are ours. So today I'm sharing a process that I created when I was actually working with teenagers and doing empowerment workshops for teenagers and going into schools and helping teens in schools. And this is called the viewing point. And so what I did here was I made a piece of paper with the words viewing point on it. And I'd go into work with teens and I'd go, how do you decipher the information that's coming in? And how do you decide what's good for you and what's not? And so what we would do is one person would have a problem or a situation that they wanted to solve, and then in the circle I assigned people with different uh, roles to play to give them feedback about that instance. And so in my book, actually on page 95, I kind of set up the situation here in this image. You can look in the book. This is like oops, the situation, and these are the people with the other opinions. And so how you do this is you sit down, and if you have a room full of people, that's great. Or if you have your imaginary seats sitting around, it can even be in your mind, but it's kind of fun when you actually put seats out, and you assign those to other people's thoughts. My boss, what my boss thinks, let's see, what did I put in here? Stranger's perception or perspective, and friends' perspective. And so you take all these people and you start moving into that seat, that role, that idea of like, what would that other person think? So let me take a situation. So, should I change careers? Right. And so then you can go and listen to all of the things that you've heard, but you need to be the person in that seat going, is that a good thought? Does that serve me? How does that meet my heart's desire? And so so for instance, your boss, and should I leave this career? Well, what does your boss say? Well, some people's boss don't care. You haven't been a great asset to the company anyway. I don't think that happens too much, I hope. But, or it could be, you really are benefiting me, but you know what? You've outgrown this position and we have nowhere for you to go. Or, you know what? You're a really big asset, so why don't you ask for a raise, right? So you can think from that perspective. What would the boss think? Now, we're assuming we know this, but you're trying on these different thoughts or ideas. And so, let's say a stranger looking from the outside in, then you can get like a really objective perception. Well, let's see, if I'm a stranger looking in on whether you should leave your position or not, there's a couple of different strangers. Some strangers would say, well, do you have another job to go to? Or some would say, are you feeling life? Is this job giving you life? And if not, then you should go. And, so you get, and you get to process these as you're going through it. And so we would come up with some um, uh, really amazing issues that the teens were working on. And so I would, do their teacher or their best friend or their worst enemy or things like this. My favorite was I'd tell them somebody, an alien from outer space, and they're looking at your situation. And that gave them kind of the clearest way of looking at this objectively. So it's really a way to look at things from many different situations. And that's something that you want to do in making any decision. Some people have your back, some people don't. So it kind of helps you see from a different perception, a different perspective of what is mine to do, what is mine to move towards. So, what question do you have today that you want to use the viewing point with? And ask the question, what is the highest and best decision for me in this situation? That's a great question to ask all day long. This is Christi Karate with Christi's Clarity. Look forward to seeing you next week when I can bring you even more clarity to creating a life of freedom and creativity.